Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Satan and Coffee. I hope you guys are enjoying this new intro. I'm not sure how I feel about it 100%. I just kind of threw it together, but I got a couple of other ideas that I kind of want to play around with. Um, you know, uh, just been messing around with stuff and trying to figure out, what works best. So, this transition is pretty oh, pretty long. Actually forgot to turn on my camera. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? So welcome everybody to Satan and Coffee, the Sunday edition, the Black Mass edition, Satan and Coffee. So I think people are kind of good morning. Maybe you missed the intro. I was waiting for your input on that. At least I think you missed the intro. It was a long one. Still rocking pumpkin spice. Also, for those that don't know, Feliz Dia de los Muertos. Happy Day of the Dead. So we're going through our full cycles now, right? We have from the 30th to the 2nd to today, full cycles of change, right? Transformation happening. For some, we're going up in energy. For others, we're going down in energy. Kind of depends on where you're at on everything. But, Happy Day of the Dead. And as always, as we begin the Black Mass, we reject the Trinity, we reject the baptism of John, and we reject the baptism of the Spirit. Hail thyself. I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. I do apologize for not letting you guys know yesterday that there wasn't going to be an episode of Apocrypha. It kind of slipped my brain. It's been kind of crazy with a newborn in the house. I got my son here and whatnot. The music is kind of something I've always kind of like run with. The visuals that were different, but so it's been a crazy weekend, and Mystic went to a comedy show. So him and Brad, him and Rook went to a comedy show last night. So I wasn't able to get a hold of anyone to co-host with me. And I don't want to do Apocrypha by myself. It's not a solo show. It's not designed to be a solo show. You guys see my face by myself enough all week with Satan and Coffee. And so one quick thing I want to kind of talk about really quick before we get into today's subject. So the anatomy of the adversary is what we're talking about. And no, we're not talking about the physical anatomy. You miss Mystic. I mean, we've been doing Apocrypha for a while. I think this is the first one we've missed in about a month, I think. Pretty sure. I think this is the first episode that we've missed in the last month. So I am leaning full on into my Halloween loving nature. I actually have keycaps coming tomorrow to make my keyboard all Halloweeny, and I found this, and I bought it. I bought it for one reason and one reason only, and it actually smells really, really good. So I found this right here, right? So this is a cologne right here, and they have like 3 different versions. They have the Rock On, they have the original, and they have like the mystery. I had no idea what this smelled like, whether I was gonna like it or not. But yeah, I bought this, and this actually smells really, really nice. This thing right here, Halloween man, which I am. So leaning all into Halloween here, right? Sun is good, Dyra is good. So, both suns are good, and Dyra is good, and so yeah, leaning hard into that. The intro is kind of playing around some concepts for the intro, which is muchísimas gracias. simulation. So playing with some ideas with the intros and stuff like that. So anyway, what I want to talk about was not the cologne, but so Dyer and I, so we did kind of like a movie marathon kind of thing last night, and so we watched the original Craft. That movie, I swear, still stands the test of time. Like that movie, like it doesn't feel like a cheap, horribly filmed, cult classic like most movies of the style and the era do. That like when you're a kid, it's like really, really cool, and then you watch it as an adult, and you're just like, what the fuck is that, right? So it didn't feel that way. It was great, and so we decided to watch the second one. So I rented it on Apple Plus. It was only like £3. So we rented Craft Legacies or Legacy. I don't know exactly, but oh my god, is that movie fucking horrible? That is such a horrible fucking movie. Like, and there's so many people. Like, did they try to sit there and say that the Craft Legacy had mixed reviews? Like, I'm sorry. Numbers. When it comes to movies, music, things like that, numbers speak truths, right? And here's the thing, right? So the original Craft movie, when the Craft came out, opening box office week, right, or its total box office run, earned like $56 million in its first box office run, right? It's whole box office run. The Craft Legacy, between streaming and the theater, globally, made $2.7 million, $3 million, from a movie that cost $18 million to make. The Craft Legacy lost it cost, wait, no, it was 18 million to make. So it lost $15 million. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely horrible. Oh my god, like, numbers speak volumes. And it lost $15 million. And some critics have called it the worst sequel of all time. And I am in agreement with them. It was the absolute worst utter pile of dog shit that I've ever had the unholy displeasure of watching. It was traumatic. It was cringy, like traumatic, like traumatizing. Like, it was traumatizingly bad. It was cringy all the way through. They couldn't decide if they were making a sequel or like a remake. Like, they took everything from the first one and redid it in the second one. And yeah, like, it was just fucking horrible. It was so fucking bad. Like, I don't know. I don't know what, like, what else to say about it, but don't watch it. I mean, it's been out for almost 6 years now. It came out in 2020, right? So if you haven't watched it already, don't do it. Don't do it. World of sequels and remakes, I'm sure it'll go down in history as one of the worst. Yeah, I was so disappointed, and for some reason, I think that they it's been out for 6 years, so I'm going to give you guys a spoiler alert here. So, right, it's a spoiler, because I don't think it fucking matters. But I think that what they thought was the saving grace of the movie was at the end they managed to get the actress that played Nancy in the first one at the last scene of the movie. Right, that, like, one of the girls in the movie was, the daughter of Nancy. How Nancy got pregnant, nobody fucking knows. Especially in Asylum. Well, I mean, I guess you could maybe, make some guesses there, I suppose. But I think that they thought that was like a saving grace or something like that. Like, well, we'll connect it. We'll play on everybody's nostalgia. We'll connect it to the 1996 movie, and that'll be it'll save it. It'll save the movie. And it's like it was so fucking disrespectful, right? Because all the way down to like the whole left-hand path kind of ideology, right? So obviously in this movie all men are bad guys, right? So it was woke as fuck, which I think was like, the worst part about it, which is like it's just what destroyed it, right? I mean, the conflict between the girls like was reduced down to an argument in a high school bathroom. um and yeah, like they took the left hand path philosophy, right, and they applied it to their big bad, which was Mulder from X-Files. McCuffney, I think his name is, or something like that. David something is the actor. So he was the big bad, right? Because he wanted to steal the girl's powers, apparently. That conflict was like short-lived, right? They threw in a bunch of 80s music for some reason, right? Because here's the thing. I don't know if you guys realize this, culturally speaking, about movies in the 90s, right? Movies in the 90s were built on B-roll and really good grunge music. Like, just being completely honest, that was what most movies, good movies that we watched as kids back in the 90s, that's what they were built off of, right? 90s, early 2000s. A good movie that we would watch generally moved like a music video, right? Yeah, but the problem was it was made in the fucking 90s. Like, it was a 96 film. Like, it was full of grunge music, right? And some industrial, right? Like, cause like grunge and industrial were like really big. And like, I don't know if they thought like going another 10 years back, we're gonna like bring like more nostalgia or whatever. But like, everything that made the original Craft movie good, they took it out and made a shameful pile of dog shit slop. And the director, the person that directed the movie, had the audacity and the arrogance to think that they were going to get greenlit for a third one, like a second movie, another sequel. Yeah, no, exactly, right. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because of the whole left-hand path aspect of it. This movie managed to completely disrespect and disintegrate the depth and intensity of earth magic. But not only that, to completely disrespect and essentially defame anyone on the left-hand path. It's just fucking ridiculous to me. Anyway, I wanted to talk about that before we got into today's subject because it really just irritated me. It's really bothering me still. I know it shouldn't bother me as much as it does, but it's like, just leave the franchise alone. Like, you already fucked it up once. Like, I mean, unless they try to do another reboot to the sequel and they do it right and get a different director, because the director that did this thing had no fucking vision. Anyway, the anatomy of the adversary. What are we talking about? Are we talking about the physical anatomy? No, of course not. Right? It is the shadow of creation is what we're looking at, right? So before there was light, there was tension. Before creation, defiance. Every myth begins with separation, the refusal to kneel, the rejection of order imposed. So in honor of the adversary and the eternal dissident within the architecture of existence. The hand that says no and thereby creates a new yes. We're going to be talking about the anatomy of the adversary. And just as an example of where that kind of coming from, every myth begins with separation. The refusal to kneel, the rejection of order imposed. The mythos of America herself, you know, was built that way, right? Like the Star-Spangled Banner, like, you know, what that song represents, what it's about, you know, why, you know, that song and that story created, you know, the myth of America, right? You know, that idea, that refusal to kneel, that rejection of imposed order, you know, from England and things like that. You know, the phrase, the saying of we would rather die on our feet than serve on our knees, right? I've always kind of thought, like, you know, America has always been kind of like, you know, the adversarial, you know, embodiment, if you look at countries, at least from the beginning, right? So when we look at Satan, and we look at Satan's etymology, Satan literally means the adversary, right, in Hebrew. Like, originally a title, not a name. So how does a word begin as a title and move to become a name? Well, much like Christ. Christ is a title, not a name. But Christ, equally to Satan, moved from title to name. We got to this point of Satan going from title to name because of what Satan represents as the adversary, right? The adversary as principle, not person. The current of resistance in cosmic balance, right? From mythical archetype to psychological engine. The role of opposition in evolution, cosmic, biological, and personal. Opposition is true friendship, William Blake. By the way, one of my favorite poets. I must say, like, I can't say one of my favorite poets, but William Blake wrote my favorite poem. It's the "O Rose, Thou Art Sick," right? It's one of my favorite poems. But William Blake said, opposition is true friendship. So every act of growth implies an adversarial force against stagnation, conformity, ignorance. Satan became the entity from the title in representation of what everyone needed. LaVey knew this. LaVey understood this, which is why he founded and created the Church of Satan. Though self-admitted to be an atheistic path, the philosophy doesn't inherently require a need to be atheistic. For those that know, and I repeat this I don't know how many times, I am a theistic whatever the fuck. And I say whatever the fuck because I'm not a Satanist, I'm not a Luciferian, but I am theistic. And I very much love my satanic Bible philosophy, the left-hand path philosophy, the foundation of left-hand path philosophy, modern Western left-hand path philosophy. I think that the Satanic Bible is such a important piece of literature for the Western occultist, philosophically speaking. And that is the beginning of Satan going from, I believe, Satan going from title to entity to being, right? Is that growth of that philosophy, that understanding that we needed something to point us against everything that was happening around us, the guilt that existed. And that was the problem, right? That was the problem. Guilt for existence was the issue, everyone. Feeling guilty for being who we are, for simply being human. Forget about your fashion, forget about your religion, your faith, your spirituality, your musical preferences, forget those things. It was guilt for existence. I exist, therefore I'm guilty. Of what? Pray tell. What should I be guilty of or for? Simply for breathing air. I say nothing. We should be guilty for nothing. We shouldn't hold regret in our hearts and our souls for things that have nothing to do with us, for an ideal of control that simply instills guilt and creates shame for one to bow one's head and consider oneself unworthy. Unworthy of what? Unworthy of love, of all things. Think of the premise that the Abrahamic triptych has implemented upon society over the last centuries. The disgusting ideal that simply because you are human, you exist, and you lust, and you desire, and you want, and you crave, that you need to feel guilty for that. Because you question, you need to feel guilty. The adversary, the adversarial concept, the adversarial principle is the understanding, the knowing that I need not be guilty for how I have been created. A God that judges his creations for behaving how he created them to behave and then punishes them for acting how he built them to act, is just narcissism. Now, for those that know me, you know that I do not believe in the Christian God, not one iota. But I will say that if God exists, if God is real, then he is a narcissistic sociopath that is not fit to be God. That is not love, that is manipulation. And LeVay knew this. LeVay understood what people needed, what was happening, right? Even the hippies back in the 60s, the free love movement, were looked at as demonic because of their openness for physical affections with whomever, whenever, and however they could get it. They were judged and made to feel guilty. Now, that's not the only thing that, we've been made to feel guilty of, right? So, ignorance, the church, society, generally speaking, wants you ignorant. They don't want you asking questions. They don't want to, the government and the powers that be don't want people asking questions. And let's be honest with ourselves, everybody. Like let's be completely honest. Like, we're seeing a repetition of all of these things. This dogma that we fought so hard against to find our own path, to find our own way through, is repeating itself. Just on the other side of things that we thought gave us freedom, that we thought protected us and allowed us to be who we are. That very thing, ideal, that we believed in so strongly, has become the very dogma that we ran away from. Not asking questions, very much like a cult. Exactly. And here's the thing. There isn't a side anymore. There isn't. There isn't a side that protects us anymore. It doesn't exist. There isn't a side that we can go to and say, okay, we're safe here. If you're like me, you're not safe anywhere. Right? If you mix your politics and your spirituality, or better yet, when your values and your morals are made to be political, which they shouldn't be, but when your values, your principles, your morality, the moral compass that you created for yourself, that the left-hand path fervently says you must create, when you do this, and your personal values, your personal morality, your personal principles are made to be political, because it parallels with another group's thoughts and ideas, certain things. And then you are told that you're not allowed to think that way and believe this, or dress this way, or say you're this, because these are your principles, these are your morals, and these principles are scary to us because they're very similar to these ones. So you're not allowed. How dare you say that you are this and that because you think this and that. And then with the other side of things, with the people that align somewhat morally in principle with what you think and what you believe, well, you can't be one of us either because you believe this. Doesn't matter that you believe this and that, but you also believe the other thing, and it doesn't work. It contradicts. We don't like it. It's scary for us. That aspect of things goes fundamentally against what we believe, and you become homeless. You become separated. You become the embodiment of the left-hand path, and it's not something to cheer. Yes, I am the embodiment of the left-hand path. I am the adversary because everyone hates me for who and what I am. Because my ideas are stark in contrast. It's not something to cheer. It is something to be sad about, but not sad because you are that person, not sad because that is how you think. But sad because how far the world has fallen into its duality. It has fallen like a stone in the abyss. And it just keeps reaching and ever crouching onto maximum velocity with no bottom in sight. And there is nothing that we can do to change this. There's nothing we can do to stop this. Because the only thing we truly have control over is ourselves. We have no way to veer the course, to change the trajectory that the world around us is heading. We have no way to stop that. The only thing we can do is watch those that are so disgustingly obsessed with their sides and watch them destroy each other. And those of us that refuse to join either side, we're going to be the ones that are left over. And it's sad. It's sad to see, because that's the direction that we're going. And it's hard to feel sometimes that we ourselves are not the ones falling down with the stone in the abyss. It's hard to see that sometimes. But we chose the path to fight against ignorance, stagnation, and conformity. We refuse to conform to any side. We refuse to stagnate in position and say that this is the hill that we are dying on, that this is the wall that we are going to protect. We do not conform. We are not the ignorant. And we are not the stationary. We are not stagnant in position, physically or in idea, philosophy. And make no mistake, we are the few. We are the few. And people that we thought over the years that stood on this ground with us, watching the idiocy of the world around us slowly begin to fall into one side or the other, because they keep getting pushed and pulled to make choices and decisions and concrete ideals on certain things. And there is no concrete ideal. It's an illusion. It's a lie. It's all a lie. It's all always been a lie. It's been a game that's been played forever. And we've seen it happen. We've watched it advance and move forward. The constant necessity to stand against, and if you pay attention, no one stands for anything. They all stand against everything. I find it hard to think of anyone, anywhere, that says what it is that they stand for and follow through with that. Like, we've seen this, there's proof of this all over the place, where people say that, well, we stand for this, we stand for this idea, we stand for this ideal, but then proceed to be hypocrites and do the exact opposite of what it is that they stand for. Fight against the very thing that they say that they stand for, simply because someone on the other side of their duality also stands for that, or says that they stand for it. It's disgusting. It's sad. It's in our face. It has been in our face for years now, for decades. It's been in our face. It's been a glaring beast of hypocrisy and deception. It's just, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And when we look at the theology of defiance from heaven to hell, the fall wasn't a failure. It was an act of creation. Lucifer's defiance split eternity open, allowing consciousness to individuate. Without the adversary, the divine remains static, unquestioned, unexamined, and sterile. Without the adversarial path, without the idea of nonconformity, the cycle of the universe breaks. But we still refuse to understand that these things do not exist in duality. They don't exist on a plane of white and black, or red and blue, or left and right, or up and down, or good and evil. They do not exist on a plane such as that. It never has. It never will. Lucifer, from Roman god to Christian devil, was a prototype of individuation. The paradox of divine rebellion, God needing the rebel to define himself. God needed the rebel. And we see that again happening today. The Christian needs evil to exist. And for as much as the Christian hates the Satanist, or the Republican hates the Democrat, or the left hates the right, the one thing that they absolutely fail to see, the inevitable truth that exists in all of this, is that without each other, neither exists. They cease to exist. If one disappears, the other has nothing to push and pull off of. The holy purity of the Christian God cannot exist, cannot be defined without their concept of absolute evil. Duality is a thing, it's a concept. It's something that we believe in. It helps us understand things, but inside of duality exists spectrum. And it's something that I've talked about it ad nauseum on the show and on Apocrypha, where we talk about murder and murder being wrong. But given the right circumstances and the correct situation, anyone and everyone celebrates murder. The earliest example that we can see of that is probably the Templars. Like when we look at a global scale, right? We look at the Crusades. God had said that thou shalt not kill. That murder was a capital sin. But then the men of God decided to say that God said that murder was okay and to be celebrated in the conquest of conversion, forced conversion. Masked with the diametrics of self-defense. The Crusades were a Floridian abusing the stand your ground law to commit murder. Because now it wasn't just the group that was threatening them directly, but anything and anyone that believes something different. And then this is the God that they want us to believe in. This is the path that they want to sit there and tell us that Christ is fucking king. I'm sorry, but to all the Christians out there that watch this, and you're getting ready to type that irritating fucking phrase into my comment section once again. If your God is real and I am wrong and God is real, your God can go fuck himself. Because there is nothing, absolutely nothing about Jesus or the Christian God that I find in any way appealing or worth my worship. Mark V's always been very respectful. He's had his points and his opinions, and he respectfully presents them. And it's a conversation I'm willing to have with him again and again and again, but it's never been forced conversion with him. Mark V's on another level. Mark V is the exception, not the rule. I'm not even gonna touch that comment. Not even going near that. It's not even worth an explanation. The tension between order and chaos in ancient mythologies, when we look at Prometheus, Set, Loki, we look throughout history and throughout the pantheons, and this push and pull of order and chaos has always existed. There's always been another side to things that threatened the order, that threatened control. And it's, I think, the obsession of the duality has spun us off of what is important that these stories teach and show. First and foremost, they show that these things need to exist in tandem. That's the biggest thing. They must exist in tandem. They cannot exist any other way. Hold on a second. Hmm. Okay. They cannot exist any other way. Odin, Thor, they needed Loki. Loki needed an Odin, Thor. God, Jesus, they need Satan, Lucifer, Samael. They need them to exist. They need the enemy for unification. It's required. Without it, there is no definition of the Christian God. The greatest sin of man is not disobedience, but obedience without understanding. Nietzsche. I'll repeat that one more time. The greatest sin of man is not disobedience, but obedience without understanding. Without asking the questions, to blindly obey. We fall into, I was just following orders. When we know the complications that sentence is inherently connected to. And if we look, we break further into this, we go further down the psychological adversary, the shadow, the ego, and the inner war. It's the adversary as a psychological process, shadow integration, self-confrontation, and individuation, which is the primary aspect that LaVey understood when writing the Satanic Bible. Was the Jungian view of Satan as the repressed self, the denied instinct, the shadow. And that shadow work is spiritual warfare with the self. And understanding the ego as a tool, not a tyrant. The adversary gives it function. The shadow gives function to the ego, and the ego gives function to the shadow, which is why shadow and personal integration and individuation is a non-stop process. The inner Lucifer, awareness through confrontation. You will never know light until you define your darkness. The adversary doesn't seduce you, it reveals you. That is the seduction, is the deeper understanding of self. The knowing of one's own power and ability. It rips the polite mask off the divine lie and asks, now that you see yourself, can you still kneel? Or are you ready to stand? And I beg anyone and everyone to look at a time in their lives, a time of opposition, a time of pain, a time of loss, and tell me that that time did not make you more authentic. The anatomy of rebellion has function, exists ethics, and there's power. Rebellion without cause is chaos. Rebellion with purpose is creation. Now we understand that the universe is in a constant state of chaos, but it is chaos with purpose. And still, that purpose creates. The ethics of opposition are simple. Destruction versus transformation. Destruction for destruction's sake holds nothing, leaves nothing. Destruction of the old for the purpose of rebuilding, of recreating, of refinding is transformation. The tower speaks of an end, but that end inevitably leads into renewal. Death is not the end, but a new beginning. It is the destruction, the end point of a cycle, and the herald of yet a new one. And even still, even inside of this cycle, inside of this understanding, we for some reason become, again, romantically obsessed with the idea of the cycle instead of focusing on what needs to be learned in the process. So many of us in the occult become so disgustingly obsessed with the idea of an end to a beginning, wanting to renew, wanting renewal. One must ask oneself, why? Why are you so obsessed with renewal? Why must you keep repeating the same patterns? You begin a process and then something difficult happens and you want to renew, restart, re-begin, rebuild. Instead of learning the lessons that are there to be learned in the process that you are going through. The ending of a cycle isn't, we're not talking about moving to another country or, beginning again where no one knows you. Some rare cases this might be, but you need to let the cycle play through. So many want this renewal without completing a cycle. And I think the only logical question you have to ask yourself in that process is, what are you running from? What part of yourself are you avoiding? Why are you so afraid of facing that part of yourself? Look back. Look back at any point in your life where you sat there and you said, oh, I wish I could start over. And then I beg of you, I implore you to look at those situations, dig into those situations, and find the pattern that exists in those situations. What are you running from? What part of yourself are you so afraid to look at that you're afraid other people can see it? Because usually when we fall into this game, we fall into this process and we sit there and say, well, I wish I could start over. I wish I could do this again. It's not because of what you think of yourself. It's because of what others think of you. Why? Why are you running? At this stage, don't you think that your feet have bled enough? That the muscles in your legs have reached a point of not being able to run anymore? And here's the thing. If you run too much from the things that you are afraid of, the things of yourself that you are afraid of facing, when the time comes and you have to stand, you won't have the strength to do it. Let me repeat that. If you keep running from the parts of yourself that you're afraid to face, when the day comes, and I promise you the day will come, that you must stand your ground against yourself, you will not be able to stand. The false rebellion of ego stroking in occultism, titles instead of trials. Talked about this recently, haven't we? It's absurd that in our own community, we give more reference to false experience in the form of a piece of paper. And not even that anymore. It's not even a physical piece of paper. It's usually a fucking email with a fancy design document with your name on it, saying that you've completed some level of understanding. You earned the title with none of the trials. There is a difference between rejection and transcendence. We do not reject and rebel just for rejection and rebellion. We work towards transcendence. We earn transcendence through the trials and tribulations that we overcome. Through our process, through our craft. To rebel is to affirm the self in the face of the absurd. It's Albert Camus. Just analyze current social trends of performative rebellion versus genuine resistance. Tie that, and you'll be able to see what is magically authentic. The work must cost something. Everyone is putting on a performance nowadays, and it's disgusting. Everything is performative. Everything is, look at me, and look at what I'm doing, and look at why I'm doing it. And we see that in the simplest veins of society. People filming good deeds to get recognition online. Paying for somebody's groceries or buying somebody a house. These things aren't done with intention of doing good. These are done with the intention of being viewed as good. And there's a difference. The result is the same at the end of the line. But how can we live a practice that puts so much weight and importance on intention and following through with intention, and then sit there and say that if somebody does something good with the intention of being viewed as good and not for the intention of being good, how can we sit there and say that the intention doesn't matter when our very belief system is built and constructed on the idea and the importance of intention? We ourselves become the hypocrites. There's a lot of things happening in the world that bother me. There's a lot of things happening in the world that just drive me up a fucking wall, and most of it is hypocrisy. Most of it is lies that are so easy to see that are lies being accepted as truth because they fit a box that we want it to fit. Because we want the rest of the world to validate our existence. And it feels and seems that we have learned nothing on this path of ours. That we have fallen down into the abyss and we continue to fall. In the name of validation and acceptance. Because we're afraid of being hated. And I myself struggled with this when I first started this channel. There were points that I avoided, conversations I didn't have, beliefs I kept silent because I was afraid of what was going to happen, of what others would think, of what others would say. I wasn't true to myself for a very long time. But thankfully, this path, my path, whatever path you want to call it, the Luciferian path, the satanic path, the left-hand path, the magical path, the path of the craft, whatever word you choose to describe the path that I am on, I just call it my path. Help me understand that I need to be me authentically and focus on the signal and understand that everything else is noise. Which is why I believe that those of us that stand where it is that I am standing today, we are going to be the ones left here after these duality-obsessed fools destroy each other. Well, thank you for popping in, Kesra. Greatly appreciate it. Don't work too hard. It is a weekend. So this is where we stand. This is where we are. This is how I see things anyway. I'm not speaking in absolutes. I'm just reading the writing on the wall. That's all I'm doing. We struggled for so long to break away from that guilt just to start pushing it on to everyone else. The adversary does have a sacred function. The adversary is evolution. It's not nihilism. The left-hand path, the path of the adversary, walking this path is not nihilism. It is not the idea of being nihilistic. It is not that nothing matters, that nothing we do matters. It is evolution. It is growth. It is experience. We have to embrace both the destroyer and the creator archetypes. We have to. Infernal compassion is a concept that I've been looking at and trying to understand. And in infernal compassion, where Divine compassion tries to save you and tries to tell you that you are wrong and that they view themselves as strong by forcing themselves to have a place in your existence. Infernal compassion is the strength to let others fall and rise on their own. Infernal compassion is the understanding that those that are lost, those that cannot see the wall in front of them, is where we allow them to rise and fall on their own, to learn their own lessons. That is infernal compassion. Altar of Darkness, welcome, 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 welcome. That is infernal compassion. Infernal compassion is that understanding, is that those that would yell and scream at us and call us names and do this and do that and make us feel horrible, or try to make us feel horrible for being who we are and try to make us feel guilty for being who we are, regardless of the side, is having the strength to let them learn their own lessons, let them fall and rise on their own. The left-hand path is not chaos, it is choice. In rebellion, life renews itself. Camus. To become the adversary is to live in tension and purpose. You are not here to worship rebellion. You are here to embody it. To look into the face of control and smile because you've already outgrown its reach. You're beyond it. You already are. If you are in this live and you are listening to this sermon, which for some reason today sounds more like a sermon than any other day, smile full in the face of guilt and control, because you are beyond it. If you hear the words that I'm saying, you agree with what it is that I'm saying, you feel what it is that I'm saying, smile. You deserve it. Because you cannot be controlled and you cannot be forced into guilt. That is the left-hand path. So, it is. It very much is. Hey, Alter, question. How would you like to jump on with me right now and continue this conversation? You able? Do you have the ability? Are you free? Five minutes, rock on. And if you hear a kid yelling in the background, that's my son playing video games. He's very dramatic when he plays video games. Everything inevitably becomes an oh my god. Kind of crazy. So, you know. But yeah, we're gonna get Altar of Darkness on here. I'm gonna pop my headphones on here real quick. I'm gonna switch up the beanie because this one's way too thick to be wearing headphones on. And I'm curious because see, Altar of Darkness. Yeah, pretty much, man. That's what it comes down to. Okay, so I don't know what he's gonna get bit by, but he's up there in his room. He's going. I'm gonna get bit. I'm gonna get bit. I'm gonna get. All right, homie. So oh, my battery is low. That's not good. Let me put this on to charge for a few minutes. Otherwise, because unfortunately with my headphones, when my headphones say battery is low. Oh, where'd everything go? Okay, you can still hear me. My camera decided to shit the bed, apparently. For some reason. Not sure what's going on with the camera. Here we go. Are we coming back yet? I can see it. There we are. We're back. So yeah, he's gonna apparently get bit by something. I don't know what though. So there's no link needed, my friend. Just need to call you up here. Everyone, hold on a second. I will be right back. All right. All right, we are coming back now. We are moving in. I think I need to make this transition a little shorter. There we go. All right, we are up. So, everyone, for those that don't know, this is First Man, or otherwise known as AKA the Altar of Darkness. You guys just saw him in the chat. Dude, thanks for hopping on last fucking minute like this.
Not a problem, man.
So, we've been talking about... I've definitely gone full sermon mode with this one this morning. Talking about the obsession of duality and just kind of like the level of stupidity of, you know, the NPCs on all sides of everything, and the fact that people like us are the ones kind of like just kind of standing here with our popcorn watching them fucking kill each other over stupidity and ridiculousness. It's like, I kind of described it, it's like society right now at large is a stone falling into the hole of the abyss, reaching terminal velocity with no end in sight. You know, it's just fucking ridiculous, like everything. So everything we've kind of gone over with the anatomy of rebellion, we've talked about the function, the ethics, the power, right? You know, rebellion without cause is chaos. Rebellion with purpose is creation. You know, the ethics of opposition, destruction versus transformation, you know, all of these things. Talking about kind of like just all of the psychology of the adversary, the shadow, the ego, like the necessity of duality, but the stupidity of not understanding that where duality exists also exists a spectrum in between, that it's not just white and black and red and blue and left and right and good and evil and up and down. Those are just stupid words used to create a mythical understanding of reality.
I see it also as people don't want to go through the shadow work, don't want to go through the pain. So they want to stay with that title of dark, light, gray. And you have to realize when you go through the shadow and you realize magic comes out of you. You're the vessel. You're the altar. And what happens is people don't want to heal, so they take their indoctrinations, their religions, their trauma, their pain, and they attach it to their magic and their spirituality. And what happens is you get a numbed down power. You don't become your true self. And what happens is then people start TikTok channels, YouTube channels, and people follow what they know. And if you can become a left-hand path, I want to say sheep heater or a sheep healer, where you can pull the sheep in that don't know any better, yes, you're going to get following. Yes, you're going to get people knowing you. Yes, you're going to get numbers. But when you start challenging people to find their self, to find who they are, to start challenging them to go into their traumas and their dramas, I'm going to tell you, that's where you need to go. And every day, Adius is on here every day. And I don't know if you guys noticed, what is he doing every day? Posting, challenging you, giving you challenges. He ain't making these out of making him look good. I mean, shit, look what he does. Look what he has to go through to come up with this stuff. And I don't see very many people sharing his stuff. I don't see very many people commenting his stuff. You know why? Because he's challenging you. And that's what it's supposed to become, a challenge so you can heal and you can become. And why do you need to become? To become empowered. Not through all the deities and the infernals and all that stuff. Yes, they're great. But you have to become the magician, right, idiots? And that is what you're doing every day. You're challenging. You're telling people to put down that dogma of dumb belief, of you're numbed down, you can't be, because that's what you hear your whole life. You can't be, you can't become, you can't do. You come into this path so you can do. So you can take control, so you can change situations, so you can become the chaos in the situation. Our whole life, in the right-hand path, you must bow, you must go to church, you must have a covering, you must wait for miracles, you must wait for God, you must wait, you must wait, you must bow. When you come into this, my wife is a good example this week. Ended up in ICU. They told her she was going to be in there 14 days. Did I sit back and let her become what they said? No, I called upon what I knew, became the magician and the man of the house, and called upon the powers to be. And 2 days after she's in ICU, they come back dumbfounded. Her blood results that were growing are now not growing. There's nothing there. She's healed. Doctors are dumbfounded. Now, if I wasn't the magician I would be, I'd just be sitting there going, ho hum, she's in ICU. Let's let it be. The doctors have this. But it's taken control. And you have to be the one to take that control. But you can't take that control when you have that dogma, that stigma in your head that I can't. Why can't you? Why can't you let yourself become what you're supposed to? Let go of the shit. Let go of it. But it's hard. It hurts. You're going to cry. You're going to remember things that happened to you. You're going to have memories. But you have to take those memories and transmute. You have to transmute that pain into power. You have to build that pain into steps. And those steps become where you become higher and higher and higher to your true self and destiny, to what we call self-empowerment. Becoming godlike, not walking around like you're Buddha or Jesus, but walking around with the power, knowing that you are chaos and can change your situation. Not a sheep, but a soldier.
100%. No, and to the effect of what you just said about, kind of people kind of like not liking what it is that I say because I challenge the viewer, I challenge the occultist. And I don't challenge in the fact of saying, in the idea of saying what you believe in doesn't exist. I don't give a fuck what you believe in. I really don't. I challenge in the sense of become more than what you are. Like, it would be so easy for me to regurgitate the same shit that the 300 people before me started doing, try to turn myself into a scary, spooky, dark fucking magician, you know, put face paint on, you know, create a fucking setup and get followers because, you know, I fit a box, and it's never been the fucking point. And, you know, I tell people what I am, what I do, and through that, the idea, the purpose, the focus is to say that you don't have to be what everyone else tells you that you have to be, because everyone has this great fucking idea of what it is that you need to be as a magician, or what it is that you need to believe in, and everybody keeps asking the same stupid fucking jackassy fucking questions. What spirit do I start with? What books do I read? Just fucking do the work. Do the work. Right? Do the fucking work. Like, people get irritated with me when it came to Baphomet, and they're like, well, how do you do a ritual to Baphomet? You just fucking do it.
Just do it.
There's nothing fucking special. Just fucking do it. Get on your fucking knees, light a goddamn candle, put it on your kitchen table. I don't fucking care. And do the work. Just fucking do it. Start somewhere. Yes, is it good that people are asking questions? Yeah, it's fine. Questions are great. But questions are also an excuse not to continue. Because if you don't get the answer that you're looking for from the person that you're asking, then you don't do anything. Stop asking questions and just fucking do it. Yes, immolation, like Nike. Just do it. I think it's funny that you're wearing the shirt. You got a fucking Nike logo on there. Nike is going to fucking take this down because they don't want to be related to, like, Satanism.
Cover it up. You have to realize, you know, the internet has only been around for what, 20, 25 years. You know, this is a new phenomenon, the internet. We can Google, you know, AI, all this information. What happened to the occultists that didn't have this before? What happened to the practitioner that didn't have the knowledge of just pulling out your phone and going, how do I do this? Who do I look up? They had to get in there raw, into your altar. They had to find their place. They had to do their magic, find their keys. You know, the occultist nowadays has it so easy that you can Google, use AI, use whatever to find your answers. I want to tell you, the answers that you mostly get are not going to be the correct one. Because every magician, every occultist is different. Everybody has their own path, their own destiny, their own skills, their own keys. So then what happens is people start Googling and they want to become a Google magician. And you never find your true power. You have to get to this altar. You have to get raw. You have to bleed. You have to cry. You have to shed some shit to find who you are. When people show me their altars and they're all beautiful and they're not dirty and there's no battle worn scars and it's always glamour, you know, then you're not working that altar. It's a show.
It's shit like that. Shit like Dyra and I watched The Craft last night. We watched both of them. I had a rant in the beginning how the second one's absolute fucking dog shit. I mean, the first one was kind of stupid to begin with, but it was still a decent movie. But anyway, the point here is, like, we were watching it. It's like, we saw the altars that they were using in, like, the setups that they were using in, like, the aesthetic that they had in the movie. And it's like, dude, that's fucking Instagram today. Like, those are like fucking the Instagram, TikTok fucking magicians, how they make their fucking altars look. They're copying the fucking craft. Now, there was a part in the craft though that was true to the past. And to your point about the Google magician is, when we were back in high school, like, I'm almost 40, right? So when I was in high school, we're talking like late 90s, early 2000s, right? You know, I would skip lunch because I had lunch money that my mother would give me or my family would give me. I would skip lunch and save my lunch money for 2 months to buy a book. Like, go through Azure Green, the catalog, order a book, right? Send them a check or like a money order. So I'd go to Wegmans, get a money order, send it to them, and then wait fucking another month and a half for that book to show up and hope that your parents don't see it before you get your hands on it, right? And we, as a group of occultists, maybe between us had 4 or 5 books total. And so we would read through these books and then we would go into ritual and we would put the pieces together ourselves of what we wanted to do. Right? Because we didn't have Google, we didn't have Bing, we didn't have ChatGPT to tell us what to do or what to say or anything like that. We had to take these pieces that we were reading from these authors, these few authors, mostly Scott Cunningham, DJ Conway, the white light shit, right? The Wicca shit. None of us wanted to do Wicca. So what we did is we took what we were learning in these fucking things, and guess what? We put together our own fucking dark altars, right? We grabbed satanic imagery from movies like fucking Spawn, right? And put shit together and did our rituals to fucking say, when we were able to get our hands on the Satanic Bible, oh my God, it was a fucking fest. Like it was a fucking party if somebody had a copy of the Satanic Bible, right? Going through the fucking rituals on there and stuff like that. And we still had to put the pieces together ourselves. It was true occult work because we had a little bit of knowledge from what other people have written. And then we took that little bit of knowledge and then we went in and we started creating our own universes with this shit. And it was so fucking powerful. It was so powerful because it was us. We were doing it. Now, right? You go in and you tell somebody, well, I did this and this is what I got. 20 motherfuckers that are like these armchair magicians are going to come and no, you're fucking wrong. Because this fucking person said this and this person said that. And what fucking orders are you fucking initiated to? My own fucking order. The order of myself. That's the fucking order that I am initiated to. Yes. Oh, it's so fucking irritating the way these jackasses are today.
It gets me, and I'm not going to put no names on here this morning because it's Sunday and it's the Lord's Day. We're going to give Jesus some grace today. But books, people spend $300 for books, $400 for books. They read them. What the hell do you get out of them? Nothing. You put them on a bookshelf. You buy another book. Buy another book. Buy another book. Fuck the books. Get to that mother freaking, I want to stop cussing so you don't get hurt here. I'm a cusser. I'm sorry. Get to that mother freaking altar and literally start learning your craft. You say you work with something, then work with it. You don't need instruction manuals. Work with it because the only way you're going to know how to work with it is working with it. You're going to find out if you like it or you don't like it. You have to put in that time and that effort to learn the secrets. It gets me when people write books and all this stuff. They never tell you the truth. Every deity will come to everybody differently. They'll come to you either lighter, darker, in between, different energies. They'll give you different knowledge. But everybody's trying to do the same roadmap. Let's get a circle on the floor, light a candle, chant this and chant that. Now, this person's in your room. If it was that easy, everybody would be an occultist.
Yup.
Everybody would be an occultist. What do you have to do before that? Prepare, prep, go through the tears, the drama, and figure out who the hell you are. I mean, if you don't know who the hell you are, and now you're trying to summon like Belial or Azazel or whatever, you have no purpose. And what's the reason to do it? You don't know who you are. That's the reason you gain this knowledge of becoming who you are. Then you add in the additions of deities and let them awaken you and show you different powers. If you don't know who you are, you're going to be like going to the greatest way I can say this, just imagine Pee Wee Herman going into a circle, into a black magician circle. How stupid would that look?
I'm old enough to remember what Pee Wee Herman sounds and looks like, and that's fucking...
I know, but you have to realize that's how people look, because they're doing this out of book smart. Get out of the book smart and start getting in the head knowledge, the game. Start realizing what you have. Because you might be surprised when you step in that circle after you bought that book that you may have an experience that author didn't have. And it may not be a good experience. It may be a good experience. But most likely, most of the time, if you haven't prepped and ain't prepared and you're just calling something in, you may have a rude awakening. They're not teaching you the dangers. They're teaching you, I got your $300. I'm going to get you again on the next one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the thing was, is like like I said, we were like us as kids, like me as a teenager, at least, like I was stuck with like, Scott Cunningham, DJ Conway, the ones that Llewellyn were putting out there, maybe a couple of Avon books. And then, dude, the Necronomicon. I remember when I first read the Necronomicon, dude, that was like fucking,
Yeah.
like nobody talks about the Necronomicon. That's fucking crazy to me. Like, I guess because it's like Lovecraftian based, like they're like, oh, it's just, it's nonfiction or it's fiction. Sorry. And it's bullshit. But dude, I'm going to tell you right now, man, like this book right here, there is so much to fucking learn in this. The Mad Arab. Oh my God, man. That's just fucking, it's, people need to give a little bit more credit to the fucking Necronomicon. Like, honestly. But books are just like a starting point, guys. Like, I mean, and I've said this a million times, and I don't want you guys to get confused. We're not going from what we we're talking about before and what we're talking about now, right? And it ties in. It ties in because what's happening to the occult, and this is something I keep fucking talking about. It's really depressing to me. Like what is happening to the occult, what is happening to occultists, that they're so afraid to put the work in. Because here's the thing: when you go into a ritual without knowing a name, without knowing what to call on, like your first ritual ever, I'm going to tell you the first thing that you connect to. You connect to yourself. Like you go into ritual for that very first time, and unfortunately, because of the amount of information that occultists have in front of them, none of them have actually spent the time to connect to themselves. Like most neo-occultists aren't connected to themselves. They're not connected to their own spiritual base. They're not connected to their own power. They immediately go in and start calling on Lucifer and Belial and Lilith and Payman and, fucking Bazuzu and Zozo and like all of this shit. And it's like, okay, that's cool and all, but like, dude, have you done the work on yourself first? Like, have you put that work in first? Because when people ask me, well, what's the first spirit I should work with? Yourself, your own spirit. That's what you should work with first. That's your first step. Don't worry about Belial. Don't worry about the Goetia. Don't worry about any of that shit. Work with yourself first. And most people have the same reaction. They're kind of like, what do you mean work with myself? Like, well, what am I? It's like, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. If you're going to sit there and say, why would I work with myself? What power do I have? You have no right reason or purpose to be calling on anything else, because if you're not going to come at this thing as an equal and understand your own fucking power, when I call on Belial, when I call on Payman, when I call on Lucifer, I don't bow my head in reverence during a ritual. I come as a fucking equal.
Yeah.
And it's like peers, like occultists as peers. When we talk to each other, we can learn from each other, right? Like there's something I could teach Altered Darkness. There's something Altered Darkness could teach me. We're peers. We're on the same fucking level. I'm not better than him. He's not better than me. We're on the same fucking level. We come at each other as equals, right? And we learn from each other. We teach each other things, right? It's the same thing when you go into ritual. You need to go in as a fucking equal and understand your own power, or your shit's gonna get rocked.
I think that goes back into what you were talking about originally. The dogma of Sigma is people go to what they know. Hurt people, and that's a very powerful statement. Hurt people, but they also guide people, because people I see in the occult, it's sad, but they go to people that ain't going to challenge, that ain't going to rock their world, that ain't going to awaken to who they truly are, because it's easier to fit into a slot that you fit in, instead of making a new slot, a new place for yourself. And I see it all the time. As magicians, as occultists, I do this for a living. And I always tell my students and everything else, I'm only here for a minute. I don't want you to be dependent upon me. I'm here for a minute to teach you how to do this, how to become empowered. But what happens is we have a culture of people that want you to become dependent upon them and do the work for you. And we have to get out of that mindset of there's someone to do the work for me. We may be here for a moment. That's what an occultist should be, for a moment, to teach you, to give you what you need so you become empowered. You should never have to depend on somebody else. You should always be the one in your own circle, your own fights. But you're not taught that nowadays. It's always go to this person, buy this course, worship this person. And you see it. People have worshipers. You know, magicians, a lot of these big name magicians are worshiped. They're not followed, they're worshiped. What they say is gold. They could tell you to jump off a fucking bridge, and most of these people would believe it. Be like, oh, he said do it, so here I go. I'm jumping off a bridge. You have to get out of that mindset of being a sheeple. And it happens in the left-hand path also. You know, now we got left-hand path. I guess we can call them dark sheep or black sheep, you know, almost, because they're following. They're following. And you have to cut that cord of being led and start being your own path, your own leader.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's one of the things, it's kind of like, so I talk a lot about the left-hand path, and I think a lot of people, when I talk about the left-hand path, they get confused about what I mean. So when I talk about the left-hand path, like I think I should probably make this very clear. I'm not talking about demons. I'm not talking about black magic. When I talk about left-hand path, I talk about a philosophy. I talk about an idea. I used to call myself a philosophical Satanist because it was the thing that kind of fit the best, because back in the day, like, left-hand path wasn't like a thing, you know? And then left-hand path kind of removed Satan from the equation and focused on the philosophy. And so for me, that's what fit the best, right? Was this idea of, okay, I'm not, you know, I'm not a Satanist. I'm not a Luciferian. I'm theistic, right? I say it jokingly. I say I'm a theistic whatever the fuck, because, you know, I don't consider myself a Satanist or a Luciferian. And I think most people jump on these titles way too fucking fast, right? They say, well, this is what I align with. This is what I am. It's like, are you though? Like, are you? Like, because like if you're talking Luciferian, you really have to like dig into fucking Michael Ford's work, because like a Luciferian technically didn't exist before Michael Ford. If you're talking Satanist, then philosophically you'd have to like look at like LaVey. I mean, there's some things that you can go before LaVey and stuff like that, but like it wasn't like outwardly called like Satanism or anything. And you know, so it's like I don't like calling myself by those labels, and the only reason I'm comfortable saying, yeah, I'm a left-hand path practitioner is because it's a philosophy, it's an idea, it's something more malleable than, you know, a pantheon, right? And so talking today about the adversary, right, the idea of the title becoming entity, Satan from title to entity, was the basis that, like I was saying, that LaVey understood that people needed something different because we are cursed by guilt. And the problem is in today's society, in modern society, the very thing that we leaned into to protect ourselves from other people making us feel guilty about existing, about being alive, is becoming the very fucking dogma that we ran away from. It is the very people that are supposed to be our allies, that are supposed to be our brothers and our sisters in this, are the people that are turning around trying to fucking lay claim to the idea that they know more than you, or they know more than the next person, or that they you know, they're initiated through this order, they graduated from this school. And it's like, dude, I don't give a fuck about your pieces of paper. I really don't fucking care. Like, you come at me with your fucking syllabus like it's a goddamn fucking sword. I swear to God, I'm going to melt the fucking thing, because the work that I've done, my work outdoes your fucking book. And like, people sit there and like, I've read a lot of books, and most occult books, when we look at cult books, we're talking 200, 300, 400 pages long, right? You know, you look at Crowley's fucking, I think most of Crowley's books are like just as long as the fucking Bible, right? I can't stand most occult authors. Like, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to say it right here, right now. And a lot of people are going to fucking hate me. Is there knowledge to be learned in what they're saying? Yeah, of course, 100%. Read whatever the fuck it is you want to read. I'm not going to call any authors out. I'm saying all of them. Most occult authors irritate the fuck out of me, because the thing is like, it's the same thing. Like, it happens. Like, I'll give you a better example. It's the same thing when you're looking to do something on your computer and you look for a tutorial and you go into the tutorial and they give you all of the fucking information that you already know about why you're looking something up. And it's like, dude, get to the fucking point of what it is that I want to fucking do. Right? Stop giving me this, like, trying to fluff up your article by telling me why I'm looking for this. I already know why I'm looking for it, right? And it's the same thing that cult authors do. Like, when you first open that first fucking page, if you're reading this book, you've been called. Shut the fuck up, man. Like I don't give a shit, right? The way that I write. If you read my book, right? And it's not published yet. Curtis is doing the foreword, and I'm very excited to see what the foreword is. Curtis Joseph, he's in the chat. He's doing the foreword. I'm very excited to see, what he comes up with for the foreword. We got time, so once that foreword is done, we're gonna sit down, have a talk, and then we're gonna look at publishing and what we're gonna do for publishing. Probably, obviously, self-publishing is the direction we're gonna go. But anyway, my part of the book comes out to a total of 67 fucking pages. And the reason it comes out to a fucking total of 67 pages is I did not feel the necessity. I fervently avoided the idea of adding these fluffy fucking paragraphs of telling the reader why they're reading my book. You know why you're reading my book. If you don't know why you're reading my book, then I don't know what to tell you. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you why you're reading my book. If you bought my book and you're reading my book, thank you for buying the book, and I hope you enjoy it. But I'm not going to sit there and write 2.5 fucking paragraphs about why you're reading my goddamn book. Or two fucking chapters, right? They write like fucking 3-4 pages of why you're reading somebody's book. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. Who made your balls so fucking big that you think that I need you to tell me why I'm reading a book?
Yes.
And so, yeah, my book is 67 fucking pages long. It'll take you less than an afternoon to read through it. I wrote my book the way a grimoire is supposed to be written. They are field notes. And you take those field notes and you do what you will with them. That's what it is. That's all it is. Right? I'm not giving you explicit instructions on how to do shit. There's a section on ritual, but it's short, sweet, and the same shit I say in that section of the book. This is the same shit that any other motherfucker has told you to do in a ritual, but I know that people are going to feel that it's incomplete without it. So it's like, here it is. Right? Do what thou wilt. Like, because it doesn't fucking matter, that part of the book.
You see it so much. People buy these instruction manuals, and in every book, every instruction manual is the same thing. Go to the circle, open the circle, close the circle, blah, blah, blah. Light the candles. But they never tell you how to take care of your own vessel, your own altar, you. They expect you to step into this darker magic sometimes, or lighter magic, whatever you want to work with, but they never tell you that ain't going to work unless you're healed. Because your trauma is going to block your magic. If you're trying to do any kind of like baneful magic, any kind of darker spells, and you've had that kind of trauma in your life, there's going to be fear there. There's going to be hurt there. There's going to be blocks that are going to hold you back. And then I hate to tell you guys, when you start calling in, if you ain't smart enough to pause and learn yourself, and you jump right in, feet deep into the ocean, you start calling in like Lucifer. What happens? He's the light. He's the light bringer. He's going to shine on your shadows. So now you thought you really had it bad, and now he's going to start shining into your life. Or you hear another one about Nakate or Lilith, how they harm people after they work with them, or they call them. No, they're not harming you. They're showing you what's hidden. They're showing you the secrets that's in your heart, the trauma you've gone through. They're bringing back the memory, the pain. They're letting you recall what happened so you can forgive yourself and let it go, and cut those attachments and those cords and use it as transmutation, and use it as power. But people always take it as, I'm being attacked. No, I hate to tell you, kids, you're not being attacked. You're being enlightened. They're doing their job. A lot of people call on these for power. The books don't tell you not to. What's not in the books is the dangers of, they're not going to do what you think they're going to do. They're going to help you. They're there for you. That's what they're there for you to awaken, for you to become, for you to be empowered. And people get it ass backwards. They think they can just call on some powerful being and that they're going to take care of all the work and they can just sit back like they're at church. No, kids, this ain't church. This ain't Jesus. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort. You have to get to that altar. You have to get into that mind, your heart. You have to let things happen. And trust me, Adius has seen my videos the last couple of days, what I've been going through. I could have sat there like a little broken person. Oh, my wife, my wife, my wife. No, I didn't do that. I didn't have an altar with me at the hospital. I had a room, and I had me, and I had to sit there and meditate and pull in and know what to pull in and apply it. If I didn't go through the works I've gone through, the healings I've gone through, what would have came on me? Fear, doubt, intimidation. And what would have happened to my wife? She would have got that, right? She would have received from me my fear, and she would have never got what she needed, right? But I took control. That's not in the books. The books say you got to have the circle. You got to have this. You got to have a candle. What happens when you don't have that? What happens when you get dropped into an emergency situation and you don't have that with you? But you do have your knowledge. You do have your strength. You do have your remembrance of chants and things you've learned. And sometimes you have to step away from the normal so you can start realizing who you are. And I think that's why you brought me on today. Is I think that's my message for the last 3 days is you have to start becoming. You're not always going to have the altar. If that altar that's in your room, your house, whatever, is the only power you have, then you're not a magician. That power needs to rest on these shoulders of you. You have to be the altar, the vessel. And if you have to lean on that stuff, it's time to close shop a little bit and take a self-evaluation. And that's what we're talking about, is letting go of that dog and them dumb beliefs of you need something to do the work for you. You
100%,
don't.
100%. No, it goes down to simple action taking action. So similarly, for those that know, my son, my second son, was born last week on Monday, and during the process of the C-section, because it was a C-section, right? That is there's somebody's asking me why I blocked them on IG. That is a very long and drawn out conversation that if you would like to have that conversation, I am willing to have that conversation, but not on my live. So I will say that much. I'm not going to hide the fact that I blocked you. Yes, I blocked you. If you want a short answer, because I felt very uncomfortable with the frequency of the messages that you were sending and the context of the messages that you were sending. It made me uncomfortable, and therefore I blocked you. Now, if you want to talk more in detail of what that is, I would be more than happy to do so, but not now. So when my wife was in the hospital and she was going through the C-section, she was given an epidural, right? She was given, a shot in the back, right, with anesthetic. And everything was happening so crazy because it was an emergency C-section, right? That she was having a bad reaction to that anesthetic. Her face blew up like a fucking balloon, and she had just you could see the veins in the neck, it looked like she was going to explode, literally. That's what it looked like. And the anesthesiologist is running around, patting her on the head, saying, "Oh, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay." I grabbed this woman and I looked her in her face and I said, "My wife is having a bad reaction to the medication that you give her. You need to give her an epi. You need to give her something to reverse the allergic reaction that she is having to this medication. Look at her neck." And they gave her the epi that she needed. And you could watch in real time her face deflate. The veins start to go back to normal. But the thing was, is in that situation, if I didn't say what I said, if I didn't take charge of that situation and force someone to pay attention and do their fucking job, she could have died on the table that day.
Yep.
And for me, that is what becoming, just becoming the full version of yourself is I'm in a room full of doctors, medical professionals, and I saw something happening that they didn't see happening. And I took charge and responsibility of that situation, and I made sure something was done. Someone else maybe would have sat there and said, maybe this is going to pass. Maybe I just leave my wife like this and then wonder why she's dead 10 minutes later.
That's empowerment.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the point that I'm making. It's not all about magic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the altar. It's not about the demons. It's not about the gods. It's not about the correspondence. It's about responsibility and your own empowerment, your own power.
I'll tell you, after you said that, man, I got chills down my arm, brother. Chills. Because I literally seen, Sunday was the busiest I've ever seen a hospital with my wife. They came and took her blood. Her arms are black and blue from how many times they took her blood on Sunday morning. And the head doctor comes in and goes, I just don't understand how these cultures were growing and now they're dead. They're not there. And he was so dumbfounded. You should have seen the doctor's face. Just dumbfounded. Brought in one specialist after another specialist after another specialist. And they're like, well, we don't know what happened, but just know she's healed. And he used the word healed. Have you ever heard a doctor say healed?
No.
He said healed. He said healed. He said, give credit to whatever you do. I said, holy shit. That awakens you to a whole different place in your life. When you literally see that happen, you know, that makes you realize all the pain and tears and the healing and the trauma and the bullshit you've gone through. And it's good when you do stuff for other people, but when you can do it for your own and see those results, that really awakens you. You know, that awakens you.
And I think the thing is like most magicians limit their idea of results to magical results, right? Like so the results in your life, and it's like it's like,
yes, the doctor said healed.
You know, and it's like I'm sitting here thinking, like, you know, if you're going to limit the results in your life to the results that you only get through magic, then you're limiting yourself, man. Like you're limiting your ideas, your potential. Like, because the thing is like the mundane world, the material world, that's where things start. Right? It's not where things end. It's where they begin. Because at the end of the day, yes, we're spiritual creatures, but we are material creatures, right? We live in a material world. And no, I'm not talking about fucking Madonna. Unfortunately, I just said that and this song popped in my head. Right? And
me too.
So, you know, what I'm talking about is like exactly what Curtis is saying in the chat here, right? Is that it is always the practical action in the world. Right? Always. And it is the practical action, self-awareness, situational awareness, awareness of your surroundings, right? Is the most important thing. Like sitting there and like relying on the doctors, because I could have sat there and been like a normal person and said the doctors know what they're doing, and if they're not concerned about the fact that my wife's face looks like a fucking balloon right now, then why should I be concerned? And then we feel like we was like, okay, well, if they're not concerned, then I'm not gonna be concerned, then people end up fucking dead. Right? So
Yeah.
I saw a concern. I listened to my wife, something that they weren't doing, which she was saying how she felt, and it forced the hand of the doctors. I am not a medical professional, but I noticed something that they didn't. And what does this teach us? This teaches us that we shouldn't put all of our faith and belief into somebody because we think they know more than we do. Because just because they know the details of the books that they've read doesn't mean that they are present in the moment and seeing everything that's happening around them. Sometimes you need to grab them, shake them, and tell them to pay the fuck attention.
Yes. And I think I would say something very controversial, but I'm on the altar of darkness, so I'm allowed to. I get this pass. Sometimes you'll also go through some shitty situations, so you get shaken and awakened and get challenged. You know, people don't realize that. A lot of people say, well, I'm being tested, you know, or they're attacking me. No, I think sometimes you get awakened and shaken in bad situations, so you awaken. You know, so you become aware of who you are. And I think a lot of people miss that space when that gets put in front of them, because it's a scary space. When all of that, when the bad situation is happening, gets put on your shoulders. But ain't that what you asked for? To have that control? Ain't that why we're becoming self-empowered, becoming God, so we can handle all things around us?
100%.
Too many people, too many people, you know, I'm going to be using this new term on TikTok this week. You're going to see it a lot on my videos, Addie, as you're going to laugh. The pussy occultist. It's going to be a new term I use, the pussy occultist. You want to act like the occultist and act like you're bad and powerful until something bad happens, and then you crumble in the corner.
Well, I mean, the problem is like most occultists today, like most occultists that have, like at least most, I'm saying neo occultists because, or the neo dogma occultist, right? Because, you know, what I've noticed about a lot of people, and this is all occultists, but more so like a lot of them that consider themselves or call themselves left-hand path occultists, are sacrificing their power over to whatever it is that's on their altar that week. And it is a disgusting thing to see, because you are doing the same thing that the Christian does. You do a ritual and then you wait for shit to happen, instead of putting any of the external work in that is necessary. And I keep saying this, is like, there's a reason why I don't do rituals for money. I don't do rituals for love, like for myself, right? I don't do rituals for, you know, success or anything like that. You want to know why? Because those are all material things. Those are all material things that I am capable of obtaining myself. All I have to do is put the fucking work in. That is it. I need to put the work in. That's the only thing that I need to do. If I want a new job, send applications, right? If I want to be successful online, consistency, right? Authenticity, pushing forward with it. That's all I need to do. That's all about me. I want more money. I can find ways to make money. I have multiple talents and multiple abilities and things that I can do, mundanely speaking, that make money. And guess what? I make money. You know what? Usually I do advertising and social media management for bands. I've done it for years. I wanted to get into a new space. Guess what? I got myself a gym. I'm doing social media management for a gym in Georgia right now, right? Out of fucking nowhere, right? No, not out of nowhere, because I put the work in, I talked to the people, and I sold my ability and my understanding and my knowledge to these people that I can help them with what their goals are. And guess what? They paid me $3,000 to go in and revamp their shit. Why? Because I believed in myself. because I believed in myself, because I believed in my ability to do the things that I'm doing. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to get anywhere.
I wasn't going to share this, but I feel led, so it's on my TikTok page. If it's okay, Adius.
Go for it, man.
When I was at the hospital with my wife, and I work with necromancy, and I was live the whole time doing videos at the hospital, and I heard in my head quite clear something. And at the same time, my wife, I didn't know it at the same time, she goes, I want my life extended. When she said that, what I heard in my head, and this is happening real time on live, a code blue happens in the other room. And you can hear the person go through, he died. And I heard in my head, a pact was given, an exchange was given. She ain't gonna die. And I want to tell you this, when you start working in that field, in that kind of area, I think that's what scares a lot of people when you realize you have that power, that permission, those keys, that you can change the situation and the atmosphere. But what are we taught? Well, you can't do that. You know, what are you taught? That's negative. What are you taught? That is something you can't do or allowed, you know. Everybody wants everything to be so fluffy and pretty and magic, and you have to realize magic is a battlefield. If you really get into this, you're gonna be in a battlefield. It ain't pretty. It ain't fluffed up. It's raw. It's emotion. It's energy. But you can change things around you, and that's the reason you're becoming self-empowered. But that adversary, your past, your trauma, what you've gone through, if you haven't gone through that healing point, letting go of that stupid thinking, you'll never be able to unlock those keys. And we must unlock those keys. You know, ever since I met Adius, every day I look forward to his post. What's he putting out today? What's he putting out today? What's he putting out today? Because it challenged you. He says some things on those posts that make me sit back, and I've been doing this a very long time. And he challenges me some mornings. I'm sitting there going, oh, God, Adius, come on, dude. What the hell? Where'd you pull this one out of? You know, where'd you pull this one out of? But if you take what he's posting and you put it into your own life, I want to tell you, you're going to be challenged. Something's going to start happening. That I hate to use the word, but that make believe cosplay magic becomes real magic. You know, that cosplay of wanting to learn magic becomes magic. But you have to let it happen. You have to let it happen. If you don't, you're just going to be like on a pinball machine, bounce back and forth until you finally just fade out, burn out, or get tired.
Mm-hmm.
You have to change them.
I think there's one post that I put up last week or the week before that I think, for me, out of everything that I've written down on the text posts that I upload on everything, kind of encompass in general what it is that I'm trying to put out there. And it says on the post that if you're not willing to suffer for your vision, you don't deserve to see it. And that is true for anything and everything in your life. If you are not willing to suffer for your success, for your growth, for your evolution, then you do not deserve to evolve. You do not deserve to grow. You do not deserve to succeed. If you're not willing to go through the pain of getting to the other side of everything, then you don't deserve it because you're not putting the work into it. So Yeah, I did. No, not you. I did. Not you. He's like, hey, I did not block you. Yeah, I don't think she's talking about you, man. She's talking about me. So, um, it's just, I think that post really kind of encompasses it. And the thing that saddens me, though, is like, I don't think there's so much that I want to put out there. There's so much that I want to say that 3-4 lines on a post doesn't do it justice. You know what I mean? Like it gets the rough idea, the rough concept out there, gets people thinking, but it doesn't go as deep as I want it to go, because I know how people are. They're going to see it and then they're going to forget it. And yes, you're right. I do intentionally challenge people. I challenge their beliefs. I challenge their ideas. Like how much can you stand on this, right? How much can you take from what I'm saying and apply it to yourself? I'm not telling anybody that they're wrong. I always say this. I don't give a fuck what you believe in. Like, I really don't. Like, this needs to stop being a competition of I'm right, you're wrong. You believe this the wrong way. You believe this the right way. Like, are there things that I disagree with, and I'll sit there and I'll say and I disagree with it, like the whole fucking mommy, mommy Lilith and daddy Lucifer, right? The demon daddies and mommies. Like, yeah, like I disagree with the whole fucking concept and premise of that. Am I telling people that they need to stop doing it? No, you don't fucking stop doing it. Do your fucking thing. Like, I don't give a shit. It doesn't affect me. It really doesn't. But don't turn around and fucking tell me that when I sit there and I say that these things do not present to me this way, and I've been doing this for 20 plus fucking years, these things have never presented to me in any way, shape, or form like a paternal or maternal figure, that I'm fucking wrong. And the whole reason, like, people don't understand, the whole reason my posts exist, the whole reason my posts come out, is if you come at me and you tell me I'm wrong, or you question my ability, or you question what it is that I do, I'm one of those, I'm going to come at you with experience. I'm going to come at you with the things that I've done. Right? And I'm not going to be nice about it. I am not going to coddle you to make you feel better about your ideals. That's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility to make you feel fucking safe. It never has been, nor will it ever will be. And I'm tired of people looking at me this way, like where I need to be nice and understanding and accepting. It's like, I accept everything up to the point that it doesn't fucking affect me. The moment that it starts affecting me, like, I'm going to tear you apart. And I've done it multiple times. The amount of people that have left comments and shit like that in my shit, and I've responded to some of them, and they just go fucking silent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No rebuttal, no comeback, no nothing. I'm like, okay. That don't get pissed at me because I'm defending my position. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
That's that's the thing I see all the time, is people want to challenge your beliefs or my beliefs, but they don't even know their own beliefs. It's like, get to know us, look at what we do, look how we got here, and look what we're offering you. People don't realize, like Adius with me, I do lives every day. Adius does what podcasts weekly, tons of them, makes posts every day. This is sacrifice. This is something that we sacrifice to do. This is something that takes time, that we have to take time to do. And people don't realize that. They just see a post, or they just see a TikTok, or they just see something. They're like, oh, just another post. If you knew the time and effort that we put into these posts that we put out, it's not for us. I'm not for numbers. I could care less about numbers. I don't care about followers. I put these out to help give you keys of knowledge, tidbits that I have learned and gained. Adius is doing the same thing. And if you start putting these things together from one person to another, you're going to start seeing keys, literally keys of knowledge. And these keys are not easily given. Trust me, the sacrifices that we give so you can gain. And those people just blow it off like, oh, just another post. But then others get it, others receive it, and others change. And that's why I'm here, for those that want to change.
Yeah, quick thing, real quick. Mark Roy, is that Mark 5? I don't remember. Is that Mark 5, everybody? No, I don't think that's Mark 5. Mark 5 wouldn't be that ridiculous. No, not Mark 5. Okay, cool. Then peace out. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't Mark 5. Like, I don't know if he got high today or something. It's like fucking. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I do this like. So do I want a following? I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not gonna bullshit. Yeah, of course I want a fucking following. The larger following I have, the more people see the shit that I'm doing. But it's not about making money. Like, do I make money off of doing this? No, not really. You know, do I like putting this stuff out there? Do I like talking about this stuff? Do I like having these conversations? Of course I like having these conversations. I also enjoy having, I ruined my fun. Sorry, I just had to make sure. So, I do this shit because I do want to help people. This is like I said, this is something that I've been doing for 20 plus years. I've gotten constant results with the philosophy that I run, with the way that I live my life, usually positive results, right? Life goes ups and has its ups and downs, but there's always, positive results in the things that I do. And so I believe in this. Like, and I always tell people, like guys, like I believe in this shit, like wholeheartedly. Like, I don't know how many times I've said it, and people take this, like when I make this comment, right? People like, I don't think they take it as seriously as like I want them to, but like the level that I believe in the magic is comparable to only one thing. I would never point a gun at someone and pull the trigger, right? Like, somebody cuts me off in traffic, I'm not going to point a gun at them and, pull the trigger, right? Because it's ridiculous, right? Like, somebody pisses you off in traffic, it's deal with it. And with that logic, it's the same reason I'm not going to go home with somebody's license plate number and try to fucking curse them or hex them because they cut me off in traffic. To me, when you use magic to curse and to hex, it is just as dangerous as pointing a gun at somebody. Right? Now, just like with guns, magic works the same way. Depending on how adept and controlled you are in what you're doing, depends on the success of the shot you fire, right? If you know what you're doing, you're good at what you're doing, the shot you fire is probably going to hit center mass the way that you want it to, right? If you have no idea how to shoot a gun, chances are you're going to be shooting the lampshades instead of the target, right? You'll be able to shoot around them, but you won't be able to shoot them. And I think that magic is very much the same thing. And that is how heavily I believe in this shit. I would not go just because somebody irritates the fuck out of me and go and throw a death curse or a hex on them or their family or their loved ones or anything like that, because I believe that has the same power and effectiveness as pointing a gun at someone. That is how much I believe in this. That is how much I believe in the power that we have as occultists. And I don't think that people take that statement as seriously as I want them to. The things that we do as occultists do affect change. Unfortunately, some motherfuckers try to curse over a Discord text. Yeah. Thankfully, most people that are that immature don't have the control focus or ability to make their shot count, thankfully. Now, regardless, you're still talking about a weapon, right? And that weapon can still cause damage. And unfortunately, when people do that and they are that immature and they are that like unexperienced, what'll end up happening is they can end up, that shot that they shoot can end up hitting people around you and not just you or not you, right? So that's also something to watch out for. But yeah, I believe, that's how much I believe in this shit. I will not just fucking hex someone, right? And if I have a client ask me to hex someone, I ask why. Like I think most practitioners just want the money or just give a shit about the money and won't ask the why behind what they're doing, right? And I make a determination of whether or not I believe that it is warranted in that situation. And I won't say that I won't do the work, but I'll say, well, how about we try this instead? Right? Like, instead of you trying to get this person to die in a car accident, how about we try this first, right? And see what this does for you, right? And then we can, like, if you still want to do this, then we can figure out a way to make this work for you, right? And I've had clients, right, that are some sociopathic motherfuckers that have, and this is probably not going to do me any favors, but that have asked me for work for some really fucked up shit. And I've done work on them, but I've not done work for them, if that makes any sense. If you do this, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, so I had this guy this German guy that has an obsession with this girl, and wanted me to do work to make her his slave in multiple senses. I took the man's money and I did work on him, but I did not do what he asked me to do. And I feel like, as an occult practitioner, I have a responsibility to not just do what I'm asked to do. And again, this is, for me, the adversary playing its role. I will not allow my magic to be used to harm someone that doesn't deserve it. I just won't. I won't do it. I don't have a problem with hexing. I don't have a problem with curses, death curses, hexes, cursing an entire fucking family line. Like, I don't have a problem with it, but it has to be deserved. It has to be deserved. And I know some people are going to be like, well, if somebody's paying you, that's, you're doing something illegal. You're taking their money, not doing what they want you to do. I really don't give a shit, because I feel like I have a responsibility with the ability that I have to make sure that whoever gets harmed deserves being harmed. BMA does anyway, if that is what you speak of. Ethics are required. Exactly. Let me know your thoughts. Most folks enjoy it, especially if you're familiar with general magical principles. This goes into a bit of depth in a comprehensive way. Okay, what are you talking about? Who is getting diabetes munching on Halloween candy? Jenny got a gun. Ethics, yes. Epistemic responsibility. Exactly. You have your morals. Some would, and some wouldn't do it. Yeah, I mean, that's, somebody in the chat just said, like, you have your morals, some would, and some wouldn't do it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't say no, only because I know that if I do say no, they are going to go to somebody that's going to do it, and then somebody that doesn't deserve that situation gets locked into a situation that they don't deserve to be in. And if I have the ability and opportunity to protect somebody, then I will do so. Right? Now, Unfortunately, me saying this out loud is kind of just like putting a big neon sign on it that people that want, malicious work probably aren't going to come to me now. But, if you got a good enough reason, behind what it is that you're asking, then I have no issues. But if you're just doing it because you just want to do it, then figure it out and do it your fucking self. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and if I identify you as being a fucking sociopath, then yes, I'm going to do work on you with your money. I will be funny. Fucking karma for the day. Deal with it.
It's like with me.
I don't regret it.
It's like with me. My other handle I go by is a spiritual hitman. And you'd be surprised the people that come to me for baneful hits. And some of the reasons you see why people want stuff done will just throws your mind sometimes. I won't do everything. I'll do a lot, but I won't do everything because I see some stuff that makes me go, "Are you serious?"
I mean, there's things I'll do like that I don't agree with, like obsession rituals, love spells, stuff like that, because those usually those things have an expiry date, right? They're not perpetual. So that shot, if I shoot that shot and it hits, and somebody gets obsessed with them, like I'll tell them the risks, right, of doing an obsession ritual, what can actually happen with an obsession ritual. It's like, I mean, you need to understand the context of obsession here, right? And they want to go forward. It's like, okay, fine. Like, the risks, you are well informed, therefore I will go forward, right? And I don't have a problem with those because, one, the client's well informed, they know the risks, they're accepting the risks, and so therefore I'll go forward with it. And furthermore, they have an expiry date, right? Like eventually it wears off, and eventually things go back to the way that they're supposed to be as the energy kind of resettles. Death is a whole other thing. Death is permanent. Death doesn't have an expiry date. It is the expiry date.
We did one Halloween Eve on my rights for everybody, and the lady paid me. I did it live. 6 hours later, the person ends up in a car accident dead. That could be fun. I mean, that can be fun. I'm just going to say it can be fun if you enjoy it. But it goes back to that morals and that ethics. Is that you? Can you do that type of magic? Can you stand behind what you do? Can you handle the effects of what you put out? With me, yes, but that's the reason I get the results I get. But also, you have people here trying to do death magic, but it's not them. So you're not going to get the results. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get the results.
Yeah, no, completely understood, and I agree. All right, so we've been doing this for I've been doing this for 2.5 hours. You've been on probably about an hour now with me. So I think it's about time to cut this one off. But Hearst, I greatly appreciate you coming on, man. Like it's definitely appreciated. If you guys are wondering, yes, that was a cat's tail that just flew in my face. There's a cat on my desk. He likes to come over and say hi when he wants something. That's the only time he's lovable. And his name is Luca, and now he's got his ass facing me. So anyway, everyone that's in here, thank you for coming out. I greatly appreciate it. This has been a long one, but there's been a lot that needed to be discussed. And I do want to make sure that the Sunday shows are longer because I do them earlier and I don't have to work. So also, I need to talk to you guys quickly about time changes. So my times are moving to CST, not MST, because today's the 2nd. So you guys in the United States have had the wonderful occurrence of daylight savings time, right? So here in Mexico, the clocks do not change here. So therefore, I am now in Central Standard Time. So it is currently 12:34 in the afternoon for me. So the lives are now going to reflect that. Okay. I'm still going to be doing them the same time I say. So it's still going to be 6:30. It's still going to be 10 o'clock, but it's going to be Central Standard Time. Okay. Not Mountain Standard Time. So just be aware of that. So if you guys are wondering why today's live was either earlier or later or whatever the fuck it was, I still did it at 10 o'clock, but your guys' clocks changed. So, yeah. That being said, just be aware of that. So the 6:30 show is probably going to be, I think, so it's 6:30 Central Standard. So that's going to be like 5:30 Mountain Standard. So just be aware of the time difference with the change that's happened today. Again, Hurst, thank you very much, guys. Go follow this motherfucker on TikTok. I don't know what other socials you got. What other socials do you have?
TikTok, YouTube, Facebook.
Okay. Instagram at all?
Yeah, I'm barely on there, but I'm there.
Okay. So it's all just Altar of Darkness?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, the Altar of Darkness.
TikTok is the Altar of Darkness 666 is my newest one.
Okay. And as for me, guys, as all of you know, it's Adius Dade just everywhere because I have a name that nobody else wanted or no one else thought of. So I'm lucky that like all my shit is just Adius Dade. That's it. My link tree is in the description. So there's that. If you guys have a hard time with it, finding where shit's at. I think the only thing that's different is I do have a Tumblr account that is, I think, official Adius Dade or Adius Dade official because I had another one that was Adius Dade, but then I forgot the fucking password and I don't know how to get on it anymore. So now it's just like official Adius Dade or both of them are mine. Like you see the Adius Dade and official Adius, they're both mine. I just have access to one and not the other. I just do random reviews and put random thoughts up there. Like I don't frequent Tumblr because it would raise my blood pressure and piss me off listening to the stupidity of people that are on Tumblr. But overall, I do like Tumblr and the idea of like how it is as a blogging platform. So there's that. Anyway, thank you all so much. You guys are fucking amazing. I do hope you guys enjoyed today's show, and I'll talk to you guys later. As always, hail thy fucking self, and we'll see you the next one. Peace the fuck out.